minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, buddy, it is. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. We are broadcasting live right here out of the heartland of America at the flagship station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas. Hey, it's great to have you along for the ride today. It is going to be a fun one. It's a Tuesday, which I always say, now that the Tuesday is almost done for many individuals, it is the day where you can enjoy, relax. It's the hardest day of the week. I know. Why? You already used up the get-go. You planned for a Monday. You knew it was going to be rough. By a Tuesday, your gas is kind of spent, and now you can look towards the end of the week because now it's going to be a Wednesday and halfway through the week. So, boom, there it is. Welcome into it. Broadcasting all over the place, all over on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, online at HoosierReason.com. We're streaming live there as well, along with the Podbean Live app, and we're having way too much fun. Today, I was excited. Now, we're going to get him on the show at some point. Mark Mix, he is the president of the Right to Work Committee. Not able to get a hold of him. I think he's busy right now, so we'll get him on the program maybe later in the program or maybe a different day. But don't worry. We have plenty to cover. We have plenty to talk about. Why? Because today is probably one of my favorite days. I did not realize. Did you know that today was a holiday? Potentially a holiday. You're thinking, what? No, it's not like Independence Day, which is coming up soon. That's going to be another great one. And it's not. What is it, Andy? Today, ladies and gentlemen, and others, see what we did there? Today is primary day for some states, for two states in particular, for Kentucky and New York. But let's take it a step further. Today is primary day in the state of New York. Today is the primary day for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the socialist millennial who is a bartender with a degree somehow in finance that is running for re-election. Now, today is potentially the day she could be voted out in a primary. And oh, yes, she has a primary vote today. which means I'm kind of excited. It is 6 o'clock Central Time right now, which means the polls are closing right now, Eastern Time at 7 o'clock, which means the numbers should be starting to come out soon, which means maybe we have a potential of getting this ridiculous, absurd individual who doesn't have a whole lot of brain cells.
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
There's a potential that she could be out of office very soon. Now, I don't know. She's raised a lot of money, $10.5 million to be exact, by the end of last month is the latest reporting that she had. And now most of that money, at least from what I saw, what I could find prior to, and I saw this about 6-8 months ago, the money that she had raised at that point in her campaign, about 98% of that was from out of state, which means she had a whole lot of individuals from outside of her district, outside of her state, supporting her because the liberal progressives like that mentality when they're not actually getting it, but when they're actually there and living within it, then it's very difficult for them to enjoy it. So she got a lot of money from a lot of individuals, a lot of big donors, a lot of small donors, but all from out of state. She had like 1 or 2% of her actual contributions coming from within her district is actual voters. She took a lot of heat when she ran off the whole Amazon deal out of her district in the Bronx area. A lot of heat she got for that, which makes me really kind of cringe when she runs campaign ads. I saw the campaign ad. I don't know if you follow her on social media, on Twitter. I do, because I like to raise my blood pressure, apparently. But there was a campaign ad that she's been running on her social media and on her Twitter, other than just saying she has no idea what a garbage disposal is. But she ran a campaign ad that said something like this.
Right now, New York is experiencing 3 concurrent crises. Crisis of health with COVID-19, the economic crisis of mass unemployment, and the crisis of racism in our systems of law enforcement.
The crisis in New York reaching a critical mass.
All 3 of these crises has something crucial in common. They haven't presented us new problems, but they've set on fire existing ones. But what if these broken systems weren't built to last in the first place? What if a better world is possible? These are systemic problems, and I'm proud to have been fighting for systemic solutions, like Medicare for all, a federal jobs guarantee, and the end to mass incarceration. Today is a big day for people who have been left behind. People are coming together in an unprecedented movement to build this better future and a better world. And whether it's delivering thousands of groceries to our neighbors, introducing transformative legislation, or standing up to corrupt interests in Washington, it has been the honor of my life to fight for the Bronx and Queens in the halls of Congress. And we're just getting started. It's time to bring the movement to the voting booth. And that's why I'm asking for your vote on June 23rd.
There it is. All right, so that's her campaign ad that she's been running all over social media, and I find it quite fascinating. First off, kudos to you. You made it sound all heroic, and hoorah, we're there to fight, baby. But I don't know if you realize or not, this could be the potential end to the socialist agenda. Now, this could be really the trend setter. The reason we focus on AOC, number one, she's low-hanging fruit. She's easy to pick on because she's really, truly, honestly that brainless. I really wish that we had a radio market that was in that area because we could really have fun with her. But it's the low-hanging fruit, so we get to have fun with it. Number two, if she continues on, and she does get reelected, at least in the primary. Now, she has a lot of contenders in the general election as well, from both military individuals, guys that have wanted to run, from women of color who are conservative within the Bronx. Oh, my. I know. That are challenging her as a conservative as well. She's got a lot of a lot of individuals that are going to run against her in the general election as well, which is going to be difficult for the Republicans. Let's be honest. It's a blue district. And whoever gets the nomination on the Democrat side has a predominantly decent chance to win the general election. I'm not going to count all the cards out because maybe she's just that bad. And maybe if they campaign right and they do proper outreach and they do proper grassroots campaigning on the Republicans, they still have a chance to do it. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the trend setter when it comes to the left-wing progressive socialist agenda. She is the face of that. She's really taken the face more so than what Bernie Sanders had, because now she's the young, cute millennial girl that gets to hype it up and push it as the new face, the new generation, the new wave of progressivism. Now, I want to play that audio again in piece by piece because I find it fascinating. For the girl who is afraid of what?
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
I'm never going to let that one down. For the girl that has introduced the Green New Deal that has been essentially useless. Now, she's had her positive moments, I guess, in her way. She's had her movements in a way that's been successful, but at the end of the day, she's an ideologue. She hasn't gotten anything done. She's proposed legislation that has been extreme that even the Democrat Party hasn't even been able to get on board with. And she's gone against leadership in the Democrat Party, meaning she's gone against. You don't cross Nancy Pelosi. You really don't cross Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is one of those that looks you in the eye and she gives you that like evil librarian stare and she just says, and you don't do it and you just shut up. AOC has led the revolt against her with her B Squad. They call them the squad. It's the B Squad because they're the B level rated individuals. She's led that revolt. She has a power within the Democrat Party that no other progressive in that extreme of ideology has ever been able to take hold within the party. She is the one that refuses to donate and give money to the DNC that helps, by the way, Democrats get reelected. She's the one that refuses to give them money because she says that they're hyping up too many of the establishment incumbent candidates as opposed to new progressives that could take these seats. Now, she's not aware that many districts are very blue or very purple at times. That could be swings, and if they go too far to the extreme, then they would lose those seats, which that's what the party's about on both ends of the aisle. They're about preserving their majority and trying to gain more seats by sometimes swinging to the middle when you have to do so. Republicans get just as frustrated with that. With the RNC, why are you going very moderate? Well, we got to go moderate in these certain districts or else we're going to lose it and we'll give it to a Democrat, and that vote will be worse if we had a Democrat in there than if we had a moderate Republican. Sometimes not. Sometimes it's just as bad and it doesn't really matter one way or another. But a lot of times that's what the party's about. It's almost like a business. We need to maintain and grow as opposed to shrink and try and isolate, which isn't a bad thing. I'm part of the Republican Party. I get it. And sometimes, yeah, you know what? I would rather have someone that votes with me 30% of the time than someone that votes with me negative 20% of the time, right? Because you can at least try and work on some things together. But AOC doesn't get that. She's an ideologue. She got in there by, I give her credit, a grassroots campaign where she knocked on doors against a 10-year incumbent that had been there that just thought it was just a given. And he lost. And she won it, by the way, with 15,000 votes. That's how few people showed up to the primary just a few years ago. 15,000 votes in the primary that got her that nomination, and she walked away with it in the general election. And no one knew what to expect from someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now she's this big national sensation. She's received $10 million nationwide from people donating to her campaign, as opposed to her primary opponent, which has a name, so to speak, but it's still going to be very difficult for her. And it is Michelle Caruso Cabrera, who is a Spanish individual, obviously, but she is a former anchor and news reporter for CNBC. So she's got a name, and she's had about $2.5 million come into her campaign, so nowhere near what AOC did. But at the same time, the question is how many individuals are actually going to vote for AOC in that district because of her running off Amazon and potentially bringing jobs into that district. A lot of people are not happy about that. There was an article that I came across today that reminded me about it back in about June or July of last year that said that her approval rating in her district was in single digits because people were so angry about that. So while she claims that we have an economic crisis right now, she's the one that shot a lot of jobs off and ran them away for her district, and people within her district couldn't get them. So I find that quite fascinating.
Right now, New York is experiencing 3 concurrent crises. Crisis of health with COVID-19, the economic crisis of mass unemployment, and the crisis of racism in our systems of law enforcement.
Yeah, so cops are bad, and the economy's tanking because of the virus, and we have a virus that with a 98, 99% survival rate of it, we have a crisis there. Shut down the economy, then we don't have jobs because I killed off all the jobs, and then we have just systematic racism where just all cops are evil. Not to reform or make the few weed out and to expose them, but just all cops are bad. The reason that's why we want to talk with Mark Mix today, he's the president of the Right to Work Committee, because he was going to talk about law enforcement unions and how unions themselves are the ones that are going to make it difficult to do any type of police reforms. So we'll get him on the show at some point, whether later on in the show today or maybe another day. But I think it's important to talk to him, and it would be great to chat with him about the law enforcement unions and how they would be the ones making it difficult to do any type of police reform. But we have AOC now. This could be a holiday, because this could be the trendsetter here. If AOC gets nominated again as the Democrat candidate going into the general election for 2020, then that shows that maybe we're not to the point of exposing the liberal progressive agenda as much as we'd like to be. If she loses, it will be a shock and awe. Now, I searched high and low. I found presidential tracking polls in New York. I found other polls in New York. I could not find a poll in her district to see how well she's doing or not. Whether because the media doesn't want to do it or because there just wasn't one, I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see your thoughts. Do you think she's going to get renominated tonight in the New York primary, District 14, for that seat in New York? It'll be interesting to see. We got lots coming up on the show today. It's The Voice of Reason. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be a fun show.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
You're darn right you are. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. I got a lot of comments going on social media right now. Andy, I lost a lot of IQ points listening to that AOC ad. I'm telling you, she really knows how to push those buttons, right? I feel very triggered right now. I feel very triggered. That's right. Have a comment on the Podbean Live as well. What do you mean woman of color? Meaning her opponent, potential opponent in the general election if she gets it in the 14th Congressional District of New York, going against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. What about people of character? That's what it's all about right there. But see, that's what they don't care about on the progressive end. It's all about your skin color or your gender. You got to remember here in Kansas, for example, in the 3rd Congressional District, Sharice Davids was one where, I mean, she came out of nowhere. She is a gay boxer that has Native American ancestry. So it doesn't matter what her beliefs are. It's the fact that she checks the box for the LGBTQ. She's a woman and she's a boxer, so she's more masculine. And oh, by the way, she is Native American as well, which I find hilarious because she's kind of part of the B squad. She's like B- because she wants to be friends with them, but she lives in a very purple district here in Kansas, to where if she went too radical and openly came out in support with AOC, then she would lose the race right away. And there's a lot of people here in Kansas that are actually running against her that are going to be great candidates that I'm excited to talk to throughout the show here on the national broadcast and on the local one here on KQAM as well. So we'll be talking with them because I think that's a seat that we could win back as Republicans. But AOC, imagine if she lost tonight, imagine what the media would say. The golden child for the media that traveled around the country, that came to all the places. What was it? It was up in Kansas City, actually, where she's like, we're going to turn this seat red. Yeah. And then, of course, my favorite one.
I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived. It is terrifying. I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is. Like food scraps? Like, is this environmentally sound? I don't know.
I really just don't know. Listener on Facebook as well, Jeff, first time listening to your show. Appreciate it very much for that. Jeff, did you know AOC banned media from the debates? I was not aware of that she had banned media from the debates. That makes sense, though, because she probably has a very difficult time debating. Now, I don't know what the Democrats would debate for. I mean, her opponent, this Michelle Caruso Cabrera, she is a Democrat, obviously. She's a anchor on CNBC, not just because of her name, but because she's in the primary challenging her today. But she's a contributor, anchor, and reporter for CNBC. And she's a more moderate candidate. And the rumor is that she actually got a lot of funding from Republicans trying to oust AOC. So we'll see how well that worked. But imagine if AOC loses tonight because of the anger that she put in her district from the Amazon deal, or because that once people realized how radical she actually was, that they actually don't want anything to do with it, other than fringes around and little pockets around the nation that really liked her and donated a bunch of money to her. If she loses, doesn't that send a message to the Democrats that they're in trouble? Because I think, for me, personally, the two most comical individuals in the Democrat Party right now is AOC and Joe Biden, because they both had the most amount of gaffes in politics, and that's above even what they say Trump has when it comes to gaffes. So I don't know. When we come back, we'll play the campaign ad one more time, and if she has 3 concurrent crises going on in the nation, I have 3 concurrent crises in the nation that I think we need to address. So we'll talk about that when we come back as well. Plus, there's a new story that came out that Joe Biden is catching up with fundraising against Donald Trump. And can he come back? And right now he's up in the polls nationally. How much do you listen to polls? Yeah. You don't listen to them a whole lot, right? But they say he's up in the polls and that he's gaining when it comes financially to donations to the campaign. So we'll break down those numbers and see exactly where they're coming from. Because if you're going to support a progressive candidate that doesn't like, business guys and the super capitalist thing and We'll see exactly where that money's coming from. So we'll do all that and more. It's The Voice of Reason. It's a Tuesday. Make sure to share us all over social media. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Visit us at HoosierReason.com and watch the podcast there, the live streaming, all that good jazz. Stay right here. We got lots more coming up.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn, Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason, rebranding the millennial conservative, one listener at a time, because that's what we do. We are millennial, at least I am. I don't know about you, but we're trying to rebrand it. We need to rebrand it after something like an AOC that has ruined politics. What the heck's wrong with you? The fact that they voted her, and I really don't think that they knew what she was all about until she actually got in there, and they're like, ooh, yeah, maybe we should learn a bit that one. But today's a great day because we have the primaries going on in New York and in Kentucky, which means we have two great ones. Now, in Kentucky, real quickly, there are a couple seats to pay attention to. Mitch McConnell doesn't necessarily have a primary challenger, but there are two Democrats that really think that they could take that seat away from Mitch McConnell. Why? Because why not? They're Democrats, and they want to remove him because he is the evil guy standing to defend President Donald Trump. And Mitch McConnell's not the most conservative guy. He's gotten a little bit more conservative, I think, in this last session because he's had to do what he's had to do to stand up to defend Trump and go after Nancy Pelosi. So he's kind of stood up a little bit. At the same time, I'm not the biggest fan of Mitch McConnell. He is too establishment-y for me, a little bit too mainstreamy for me. Him and Ted Cruz have gone at it quite a bit because Ted Cruz has called him out on a few times to allow things like Obamacare to get through the different committees to get to the floor that they knew that was going to be able to pass. So therefore, if it just got through the committee, then it wasn't our fault that it voted through. We didn't have enough numbers to stop it, right? So that's the kind of Weasley stuff that Mitch McConnell's done. And the politicians, they're politicians. That's what they do. But at the same time, Mitch McConnell would still be better than some of these other ones. But there are two Democrats in the Kentucky area, Amy McGrath, that jumped in right off the bat trying to challenge Mitch McConnell, and she had a lot of the momentum, and she gained a massive, like $40 million. It was ridiculous how much money that she got in the primary right off the bat. And then all of a sudden, this new guy came about. Charles Booker was his name, and he came out and said, oh, wait a second, I'm going to have a way better chance of beating Mitch McConnell in the general election. So those two are going head-to-head. I haven't seen any polling on which one is favorable among Democrats, but according to 538.com, Mitch McConnell still blows either one of them out of the water. Against Amy McGrath, he's up by 20 points, and against Charles Booker, he's up by 14 points. A very red state that Kentucky is. It looks like Trump is winning predominantly there with a 20-point margin, 57-37 over Joe Biden in the state of Kentucky. So that's going to be a very good state for Republicans if we continue on with that trend, and that's something to be very happy about. But in New York is what we're really trying to focus on. And imagine the demise that the Democrats would feel after AOC potentially loses tonight. I mean, imagine what that would do. So first off, they started off a very rocky campaign at the beginning of the year. They had their very first caucus and primary with Iowa that was a complete disaster, if you remember that, all the way back when. A complete disaster. They had precincts that weren't calculating right. They weren't reporting right. They didn't have precincts counting until like 3 days later. A lot of their systems crashed, and they were trying to do it by hand. It was complete madness. Then they went to New Hampshire, and it kind of fell into place there. But shortly after is when the virus hit. And when the virus hit, then most of it shut down, and they started doing mail-in ballots, and they tried to delay some of them, and some of them got canceled. Now they're pushing back the Democrat National Convention because they kind of got thrown a wrench when it came to this. Now it's good for Trump because he's the incumbent. And when you're not out campaigning and trying to get your message out there, then it's easier for the incumbent because he doesn't have to do much either. So Donald Trump's kind of had the springtime to really just build up his base. And you could see, obviously, what happened a couple days ago in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, when he had his rally. And even though he didn't fill 100,000 seats. No, he didn't. But he had a lot more than what Joe Biden can take. See? Joe Biden couldn't fill a coffee house. AOC can't fill a coffee house. She can try. She can pay the protesters to be there to support her, but she can't actually do something like that. Donald Trump can. And Joe Biden's still not even doing campaigning. He tried to go out, and they had to put the circles around the chairs, and half the chairs weren't even filled, and there were like 5 people there, most of them media. So he's kind of incognito right now. Whatever. Donald Trump's rolling with it. So you can tell where the momentum is while they say the polling is actually down for Republicans and President Donald Trump. So here's the question. What would this do to the Democrat Party if AOC loses her primary election tonight to a more moderate, mainstream Democrat that says that AOC is MIA in her district? That's been her campaign slogan. AOC is MIA. Because she's wanting to be this celebrity figure nationally rather than focus on the needs of her district. That's been the campaign slogans, and it could work if she may not have as much money, but if she did the grassroots campaigning and she knocked on the doors, she could be doing very well in the race tonight, and I really hope that's the case. Because the Democrat Party right now is really split into 3 sects. You have the establishment, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer types. You have the old guard, blue-collar Democrats that are mainly starting to swing towards Trump. That's how Trump won a lot last time. Why he won Michigan, why he won Pennsylvania, why he won Ohio, why he won that Rust Belt right there, because he really won over the blue dog Democrats that are predominantly supportive of unions, that are more supportive of some of the social programs, but at the same time, they're the workers, the hard workers that like their Second Amendment and like the government to lay off their back so that way they can just do their job. And Donald Trump won them last time. Overwhelmingly, he won them last time. Then you have this new third sect that is the Democrat Party that's trying to become the new brand of the Democrats because the Democrats feel that this is where the party's going, which is the radical, extreme left progressive socialist. Why they're embracing Antifa. When you have the vice chair of the National Democrat Party taking a picture with the Antifa rules for radicals or whatever the hell that they use, their little booklet of what they like to do, taking a picture of it, when you have candidates and actually elected officials in the Democrat Party that are supporting Antifa and saying that they're actually a party, they're embracing them, they're supporting them, they're allowing them to do it. When you have the mayor of Seattle, Washington, that's when asked, what are you going to do about these people and like Antifa that have taken over this, autonomous zone in Seattle? And she says, well, we could just have a summer of love. We're just going to let them be. We're going to pull the cops back, just let them be. When they embrace it, this is what's going to be the destruction of the Democrats. So this could be good for the Democrats if she loses, which is why I'm sure that many of the establishment are trying to fund things against her to get her out of there because she's the rabble-rouser. She doesn't go with the flow, which sometimes is a good thing, but she doesn't go with the flow. She calls out the establishment, and she has her own ideology, even when it hurts the party more than it helps them advance her agenda. She doesn't understand that long-term goal. She doesn't understand the Democrats have been very, very smart for a very long time, that if you do things in increments, then you get to actually accomplish what you're set out to do. But it takes longer than saying, I'm going to submit a Green New Deal where we're going to get rid of all flights. We're going to get rid of all airplanes, all ships. We're going to rebuild every building in the United States. I mean, when you advocate for an extreme agenda like that, even Democrats who were like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Even they're thinking like, yeah, no, I'm not going to support that. Not going to do that because it's detrimental to the party. So the party could be well off if they lose her because then the B Squad would be broken up. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, the other ones that are part of the B Squad are going to be a little upset and they'd try to hold that mantle. But AOC really was that icon for the Democrats that they would lose, which I think would be a tide turning, a new phoenix growing out of the dust where maybe the Democrats, I've said this for a long time, that if they don't shun the radicals, they're going to continue to be their own demise. Because when you have something like this, then it's detrimental to your cause.
Right now, New York is experiencing 3 concurrent crises. Crisis of health with COVID-19, the economic crisis of mass unemployment.
Yeah, so we were concerned about mass unemployment, but we don't want jobs coming into your district. That's cool. All right.
And the crisis of racism in our systems of law enforcement.
All cops are bad, and we hate them all. Okay.
The crisis in New York reaching a critical mass.
All 3 of these crises has something crucial in common. They haven't presented us new problems, but they've set on fire existing ones. But what if these broken systems weren't built to last in the first place?
So here's the new vision. Remember Barack Obama? We're going to fundamentally transform the United States of America. What if these systems aren't meant to last forever? What if these systems, when in times of crises, they implode and they just expose and they just throw the gas on the fire and it just gets worse? This is the fundamental flaw that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has. The fact that she thinks that our system, our basic fundamental system, our capitalist, laissez-faire, free market society is crumbling because when under pressure, it falls. Now, obviously, something like a coronavirus is a global pandemic and it's a strain on the nation because we all got shut down. We couldn't go to work, couldn't do our thing. But we've obviously had other crises that we've had to deal with as a nation, between foreign invaders, between the Great Depression, between conflicts that we've gotten involved in, between terrorist attacks that we've seen as a nation upon us. We've been through crises, and like I've said before, in American identity, we've always risen to that challenge. Now, in her mind, we're just exposing all the flaws in our system because we're a horrible system, so we need to fundamentally transform it. In your and I's minds, which is common sense and reasonable, we say, wow, look at what the government's done to prohibit us from allowing us to evolve and grow and be able to adapt to the current situation. This is what progressives always love to do. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. Think about it. There's a system. They don't like the system because they don't have any control over the system. So they increase government regulation in the system. It begins to mess up and they say, see, look at there. There's a problem. We told you there was a problem. We need to fix it. And they screw it up even more in order to take more control over it. That's what AOC advocates for. And then she goes on to talk about Medicare for all and guaranteed jobs and all the nice little socialist pet projects that she has that's going to be detrimental to the system when we just spent $3 trillion on a stimulus package for the coronavirus that's going to bankrupt us. And she wants a close to like $10 trillion package for global warming and climate change and all this other garbage. I'm telling you, this is where the party's going unless they change it, and tonight's the night to change it, which is why this could be a potential celebration for us if she gets booted out of office in a primary tonight. We'll have to see. It's going to be a fun one. One more segment. Didn't mean to spend the entire show on that, but I thought it was fascinating because it goes deeper than just AOC by herself. Make sure to share all the social media links with the Facebook Lives. Download the podcast. Subscribe to it all over the place. This is The Voice of Reason. One more segment. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online. line, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
By the way, I'm hoping we're starting to get to a lot of individuals. We're hearing from listeners that are all over the nation, which is awesome as we're starting to grow. We're on 4 radio stations now. We got 3 more coming in a few weeks. We have a few more that are in the mill, turning it over, pondering, and we'll get them here soon as well. So we'll have more information on that. If you're new to the show, then if you've already heard the show, then you kind of know a little bit about it. But if you're new to the show, we do these things called the Voice of Reason infomercials. And one of these days, we're actually going to get these products, but we do these satire infomercials to sell quote-unquote products. And we've been working on one. I'll probably have it ready for the program in the next day or two, so stay tuned because I'm excited for it. It is, I don't know if I should give you a teaser yet or not. No, I'll wait. But make sure to stay tuned in. So it's going to go up on the website first, and then you have a chance to go to the website at HoosierReason.com and listen to it, and then we'll play it on the show in the next day or so, which I am really excited. But I want to get your feedback on this because if they do well, then we'll actually start making the product. We'll actually start physically making them and selling them as like gag gifts or something, which I think would be a lot of fun. So let me know what you think. We'll start making this here in a couple of days, and you can listen to the Voice of Reason's latest line of products that you can purchase. Again, I think it's pretty entertaining. But so AOC, real quickly to wrap this one up, she says that there are 3 concurrent crises going on in her district. Well, AOC, I have words for you. There are 3 concurrent crises going on in America right now. And this is my campaign speech, not to vote for me, but to vote for conservatism, traditional values, republicanism, constitutionalism, because that's what we're all about here. The 3 concurrent crises in America here on The Voice of Reason. Number 1 is just what you are, the rise of the radical socialist wannabe leader that actually found a way to get into political office. Not sure how that happened. Maybe a fluke. Maybe it's the tide turning. I'm not sure, but yet it's a concern. Why? We'll address that in a second. The number 2 crisis in America. Leaders that have surgically removed their backbones, apparently, because they refuse to stand up to said radical socialist millennial leaders, wannabe leaders, that are in political office today. And number 3, one of the most concerning crises going on in America at this time, millennials with beards and man buns. I'm just saying. Why? Because they're millennials with beards and man buns that probably don't know how to change the tire on the side of the road or change the oil in their vehicle. And that is kind of the essential part of why you have a beard or long hair as a dude. All of these crises have something in common, as AOC said in her campaign speech. All 3 of these crises that I have just mentioned have something in common: a failing education system, a lack of teaching of history in the proper context, and the hipsters with the beard and man buns that have let all that happen. I'm just saying, throwing that out there on why that's a concern. So the 3 concurrent crises going on in the United States at this time, I think, is something that we need to be very concerned about and try and fend off and fight on a regular basis. All right, we got a few minutes left, and I want to read these numbers. I know numbers are kind of dull on the radio, but I think they're important. As there was an article that came out that said that Joe Biden is creeping up financially when it comes to campaign contributions to President Donald Trump. I know, right? So I looked it up, and you can look at these at opensecrets.org. They financially, all candidates have to release all this information to the public so that way you can see exactly where they're getting their money. It's just whether people do the due diligence to research this. Now, remember, a vast majority of the Democrats want change because they don't like a billionaire in office. They don't like the quote-unquote corporate side in office because all he's doing, is pandering to the corporate elites and to Wall Street and to the big bankers and just giving all the elites all the tax breaks to where they only pay 80% of the tax rate anyways. So when we do tax breaks, they get a larger chunk back. But how dare he give them any money back? Because, again, that goes back to the AOC philosophy of we need to take more of their money to redistribute it because we're totally jealous. So I looked up the financial records for the candidates between Joe Biden and Donald Trump at this point. And so far, Joe Biden, according to opensecrets.org, Joe Biden has raised a total of $211 million, has spent a total of $128.7 million, and has a cash on hand of $82.4 million. Donald Trump has had a total of $287 million with $108 million on hand. So he's about $70-80 million above what Joe Biden is. Here's the big kicker. Small contributions, meaning individuals like you and I contributing less than $200. Joe Biden has 40% of that, or $86 million of that being small contributions. Donald Trump with small contributions at 42%, meaning more people are spending less amounts in larger sums to Donald Trump than what they are to Joe Biden. Talk about the little man and where their money's actually going to try and support a certain candidate with their needs in mind for that candidate. I think that says something. Keep that in mind as you go about. Until then, podcast going up a little bit, broadcasting on all the radio stations, TV as well. Thanks for listening to us. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Visit us online at HoosierReason.com. Until then, it's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Have a great Tuesday. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.